All right, hello and welcome back. It's your boy Hank Hackerson with another episode of Hank Hacks Hackers. And today we're going to finish our Snort lineup. And so this was the path for network security and traffic analysis. It's under the SOC Level 1 pathway of TryHackMe. And we've already done the intro. We've done the basics challenge yesterday, or in the last video. And then today we're going to do the live attack challenge. And this is part again of the security analysts security operations center pathway. The room itself is a free room, which is always awesome. So you can just follow along on your own machine if you have downloaded Snort and just kind of use the exercises that way. Or you can always just get a free subscription to TryHackMe and you'll be able to use the virtual machines that are included in these scenarios. There's always the link in the description below as well that will give you a $5 discount towards the paid subscription, which is the VIP subscription. And then you can use that to do a lot of the more advanced and subscriber only rooms that are available. So that is pretty much it. Just make sure you like, subscribe, share, and turn on that notification bell so that you get notified the next time a video comes out. And a lot of the videos that I do go over are free videos. So as long as you do have them, you do have access to some kind of a Kali Linux machine or some of the tools that we use, then you can just follow along in the videos and you'll be able to do the exercises as well. So that is pretty much it. This is the previous room that we did that has a lot of the commands and the operations that I'm probably going to end up referencing. This is also one of the free rooms, and this is the first Snort room. So it's this one right here. So this Snort room specifically is the one that has most, if not all, of the commands that we're going to reference. And then there's of course the cheat sheet that I think they also share inside of that room. Let me see if I can pull it up to the screen real quick. And there we go. So this is the Snort cheat sheet that they provided to us, which has a lot of the commands that are inside of this thing as well. So we're going to just kind of reference back and forth into this and use it to complete our live exercises, the brute force and the reverse shell exercises today. So without further ado, we are going to go into the introduction of the room. Okay, so the introduction is pretty standard. I mean, it's kind of what they say at the beginning of each room. So the room invites you to a challenge where you would investigate a series of traffic data and stop malicious activity under two different scenarios. Let's start working with Snort to analyze live and capture traffic. Before joining this room, you got to do the basics room. There are going to be two VMs attached, so each task has its own VM. So you don't need SSH or remote desktop to do any of that stuff. So as soon as you click the start machine, it opens it up, and that's pretty much it for the introduction. So not really a long introduction at all, and we can kind of just I guess really run through it and start with the first scenario. Okay, so scenario one, we're gonna start the machine first because it's gonna take about a minute or two to kick off, and I'm gonna get out of split view so I can zoom in and kind of read through this with you guys. So the narrator, JNY Enterprise is one of the top coffee retailers in the world. They are known as the tech coffee shops and serve millions of coffee lover, tech geeks, and IT specialists every single day. They are famous for specific coffee recipes for the IT community and unique names for these products. Their top 5 recipes are Wanna White, Zero Sleep, Mac Down, Berry Keep, and Crypto Y. J&Y's latest recipe, Shot for J, attracted great attention at the Global Coffee Festival. J&Y officials promised that the product will hit the stores in the coming months. The super secret of this recipe is hidden in a digital safe. Attackers are after this recipe, and J&Y Enterprises are having difficulty protecting the digital assets. Last week, they received multiple attacks and decided to work with you to help them improve their security level and protect their recipe secrets. This is your assistant, Java, just another virtual assistant. She's an AI-driven virtual assistant and will help you notice possible anomalies. Hey, wait, something is happening. So Java says, welcome, sir. I am sorry for the interruption. It is an emergency. Somebody is knocking on the door. Knocking on the door? What do you mean by knocking on the door? We have a brute force attack, sir. And so the narrator, this is not a comic book. Would you mind going and checking what's going on, please? Sir, you need to observe the traffic with Snort and identify the anomaly first. Then you can create a rule to stop the brute force attack. Good luck. So first of all, we're going to start Snort in sniffer mode and try to figure out the attack source, service, and port. Then we're going to write a rule and run Snort in IPS mode to stop the brute force attack. Once you stop the attack properly, you will have the flag on the desktop. Points to remember, create the rule and test it with a console, which is an alert mode that prints the alerts onto the console. Use a full, which gives you the full details of the packets and everything that's coming in. And then we're going, with this mode, it doesn't print it onto the console, so we have to create a log file for it. And so we're going to put it in the default log path and write the correct rule and run the Snort in IPS a full mode, and then block the traffic at least for a minute, and the flag file will appear on your desktop. So once we get the flag, this is what it's going to be. And then what is the service that was under attack, and what is the protocol and port that was used for the attack. So let's look at the hint just to see what it says. IPS mode and dropping packets is covered in the main room in task 7. Okay, so very good. So this is the room that they're talking about, and task 7 is IDS IPS mode, which is right here. And so first we need to activate it in sniffer mode, which is done in very, very simple format, really. So sniffer with parameter I for the interface, so the interface that most likely we're going to be running, and then with parameter V, which is verbose, that kind of prints everything onto the screen. You have parameter D, which is a data dumping packet data mode. And then what other parameters? DE, which is it does the dump and it grabs the headers. And parameter X also shows you the hexadecimal. So there's a few different ways that we could do it. I think I'm going to probably end up doing parameter X just to get the full details of everything, as well as I for the interface, and then we're going to test that out and see what happens. So by now the machine should be up, so let's see. All right, cool, the machine is up, and so we got to start a terminal and start the packet capture just so we can see what's going on against our machine here. So let's see. So just in case we have more than one interface, I'm going to run ifconfig to see how many interfaces we got. And so we have the local interface, which is LO. We have ETH1 and we have ETH0. If we pull out here, it says that this is the IP address. So I'm just going to assume that ETH0 is the IP that is being attacked. But we can always run it against the other one and see if anything comes out of that. So first I am going to run it against ETH0. So I'm going to run Snort on ETH0 first. We're going to run it in verbose mode and see what we can find. And maybe we can even do the X just to see if we can get more details out of it. So let's see what comes out of that. So it's going to be sudo snort IETH0 for the interface, V, and X, and it needs to be a capital X. Everything else can be lowercase. So sudo snort interface ETH0 verbose mode and X. Let's see what happens with this. Okay, so we stopped it after a little while, and I gotta expand on this because it's a very large set of results that came through. And so if we kind of just try to browse through this, I will try to see if anything shows up as shady. And if it does, we'll try to see if we can kind of find it and see what happens here. Okay, at first glance, this kind of looks fishy because it looks like somebody's trying to do an SSH login here. And so it could be this particular address trying to run an SSH. So that's one fishy looking thing. Let's see what else we could find. Okay, so just because I saw it once, I decided to do a search for SSH, and there's a couple of packets that seem pretty shady. One of them is coming from this IP and it's going to our SSH portal or SSH port, and it has a very, very large packet that just seems shady as hell out here. And then as we kind of run through it, so there's multiple instances of SSH that show up in this packet. And then if I continue, let's see, there is this other packet that was also down here, right? So there's another packet that is also trying to go through SSH. And then there should be, I think, even one more packet I think I saw. Or maybe this is the same packet. Is this the same packet that we just saw? So 140.29 is the IP address that's trying to do it. And this one is it also 140.29? This is also 140.29 that's trying to do it. And this one is not 140.29, but it is 245.36. Is that our IP? No, it's not. So 140.29 is the receiving IP on this side that is showing us the SSH. So I feel like it's the SSH. I need to kind of double check, I guess, and verify just in case, because there is a lot of packets that seem like normal packets, but then you just have these things, right? So here's another one, 140.29, that has the open SSH. So this IP address has shown up a few times that is trying to do a SSH into our specific portal here. So I want to see what goes on with this particular IP. And then you have the response that's going back to the same IP address over here that is showing from the same, on this side it was the destination IP, this one is the source IP. And so it seems like that's what's happening. I do need to verify and make sure, because obviously I haven't done this before. So I need to be for sure that this is actually the case. So let's see what we can find in a little bit of research. Okay, so out of all of the packets, this is the most shady packet, this thing right here. And it is pretty, I mean, as you can see, there's way more data. That's like one of the indicators to me that kind of stood out right away, was that there's just so much more data that's being passed through this one particular packet. And throughout this packet, there are so many more mentions of SSH than any other packet. Now, I did this visually by just looking at it myself, and I did like a basic search, but there's ways that you can do it where you kind of log it and grep through the log file. So I actually, you know what, I think I'm gonna do that just to kind of give you that as a specific strategy as well, so that you don't have to necessarily go through this, because I can't grep through results that were shown on the terminal itself. We can grep through results that are inside a log file. So I'm going to run the command again, and instead this time I'm going to have it log on the current directory that we're in, and that basically you just do L and dot. So L is for the log, and then you do dot like that, and that will give us a log file that we can grep through. Okay, so we ran it, and this is what it looks like when you're actually logging something. It doesn't print anything onto the screen, but if I do a print working directory, it shows me what directory that I'm in right now, and in the current directory, if I do ls to list it, there's a new log file right here. And so just to kind of make it a little bit more visible, I'm going to move the snort.log file into my desktop, and it'll move that out of there, and you no longer see it over there. And if I zoom out, you will see that on the desktop now there's the log file. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to cd into the desktop, meaning we're going to change directory into the desktop, and we're going to read the file. So it's sudo snort r and then snort.log file, right? And then we're going to do it X, so I can see the hexadecimal stuff that comes out of that. And then you do forward, not forward, excuse me. It's like a pipe, the vertical pipe. And we're going to grep for 22, which is the port number. And so you do that, and it shows you everything that came out. And look at that. So these are all dimensions of port 22. There is a lot of them. As you can see, let's zoom in a little bit, sorry. So these are all the mentions of port 22, and then there's like IDs that are 22 and all these things. So I know that port 22 is important, and it does turn out to be SSH, and it does show up a lot, but there's also the dates, and it just so happens to be that today is January 22nd, so it literally shows up every single instance for January 22nd as well, which is kind of annoying. So what I'm going to do now, instead of doing that, I'm going to run the same command that I just ran, and instead of grepping for 22, I'm going to grep for SSH. And there you go. And so now it should show, yeah, there you go. You have these specific mentions of SSH. And so this is, yeah, it shows up a lot. And it's like large chunks of code, as you can see. So this time around, what we're going to end up doing is we're going to run it again. And instead of grepping, we're going to limit the output to, let's say, I don't know, 30 packets. So we're going to limit the output to the top 30 packets. And let's see if we can find that large packet here again. And there it is. Yeah, it's one of the first few packets that came in. And so here's the things that we need to understand, right? So these are this was, I believe, the target IP. And so let's see if we can find it again on the other side. This is it. Yeah, again, shows up again, and here it is again, right? So so it's trying to target our port 22. So this is the target IP, and this is the attacker IP. So it's coming from some random port, 46846, and then it's targeting the IP that is sitting on port 22. So it's targeting our port 22. And so in that case, now we can write the rule for this, okay? So I'm going to leave that open. I'm going to open up a new terminal just so I can reference back to that information. And so let's go into here and try to find the IDS, or excuse me, IPS portion of this so we can write a rule for it. So IPS is right here. And so if you run it in IPS mode, you can do all of these other things. These are the alerts that can come out. And let's see what we need to do to drop something. I think we have to drop the connection. That's the whole idea here. Okay, so it's actually not under task 7, the specific rule that we would need to find. It's under task 9. And task 9 gives you the different actions that your rule can take. So typically in the last video, all we did was we did alert actions. So what we need to do is either drop it or reject it. And so drop would block it and log the packet. Reject would block the packet, log it, and terminate the packet session. So I'm probably going to do reject just to make sure that it actually, terminates the packet session so they don't try to do anything. And so it would be very similar to this type of thing where you do reject, the type of protocol it is, the IP and the source port where they're trying to go, and then kind of your messaging, the reference, if there's going to be a reference ID. You don't necessarily need to fill this part, but you definitely need to have a message, you need to have an SID, and you need to have a rev, which is a revision. But apart from that, this is the part that's the most important in this particular case because we need to drop the packet. So if we go back here, we'll see that in this packet, it's a TCP packet, so it needs to be drop TCP, and it's going to be from this source and this IP to this particular situation, which is this destination and port, and then that would be it. And then we're going to write the message, and then we're going to hopefully see the flag show up after about a minute of running it. So what I need to do is I need to modify the config file, which is located somewhere. Let me see where I can find the config file real quick. Okay, so this is the location of our configuration file. Well, this specifically is the location of the configuration file. It's going to be the etc snort, and then snort.conf is the actual configuration file. So that's the file that we have to edit with the new rule that will go ahead and stop and drop and maybe reject that previous malicious packet. So that's the thing that we're going to be editing. Okay, so instead of actually, so this was my bad, because this is kind of more of a permanent file. We want to modify the rules that's inside the rules folder. So if we go in this, there's a bunch of different rules, and specifically there's a file called local rules. So we're going to add our new rule to drop the packet in the local rules. And so sudo gedit local rules is what we're going to be doing to edit the rule file, and that should open up the rule file for us. And here it is. And so we're just going to create this new rule, and it's going to be drop TCP from any IP on port 22 to any. And so this is essentially just in case they decide to change their IP address and use a different IP address, we'll be able to drop them, or we'll be able to stop them in their tracks. Essentially, we're going to be like ahead of the game. So SSH attempt detected, and we'll do dropped, or well, detected and dropped. So that's the message. You do a semicolon, and then it needs to have an SID, and it'll be 100001, and it needs to have a rev, which will be 1, and then that's pretty much the rule. And after that, we can rerun Snort, but we're going to use the configuration file, and it's going to use this particular rule, and we're going to run it in IPS mode, which will require a few extra options in there, and which I'll show you right now. And then once we run that, it should drop the packet, and it should put the flag onto our desktop. So let's do that. Okay, so this is the command to run it in IPS mode to drop packets. So this is sudo snort. You're going to use the configuration file, Q and capital Q. I forget, I think it's about the advanced configuration. That's what these two specifically do. They run in quiet mode and advanced configuration. And then you want to use this particular option as well, and which says, where does it say it? I'll find it in a minute. So activate data acquisition. So that's basically what we're trying to do, is using the AFP packet module to snort as an IPS. That's what it is. And so when you do this, you have to apply whichever interfaces you want to actually run, which is going to be both of our interfaces, just in case they want to get smart or do whatever. And then in this particular case, it's going to output everything onto the console, but I'm going to do a full option here and output it into a log file. And that's basically how you run it in IPS mode. So to specifically activate in IPS mode, you need to run these series of options right here. Everything else, as you can notice, so this is IPS mode right here. Everything else is a different variation of IDS mode. So you can still use the rule file and still do the alert onto the console, or do some kind of a log file that gets exported. But every other option has been running in IDS mode, and specifically we want to run it in IPS mode, which is intrusion protection, not intrusion detection. And so since that is indeed the case, we have to add these specific series of options right here. And so I'm going to, just to make life a little bit easier, I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to use this command. And then from here, I'm just going to modify this last section so that it can give me the prompt that I'm looking for. So I'm going to paste it onto there, and I'm going to change it from console to full, and I'm going to log it into my current directory, which will give us a new log file apart from that one log file. And that should be good. That should run. So let's see if it does, and let's see if it actually gives us the packet, or not the packet, the flag, excuse me. We're going to run it and see if it gives us the flag. And there you go. That actually kind of happened pretty quickly, so I can stop that real quick. The first time that I ran it, it took a long time, but I realized it was because I was inside the rules directory still. So I had to come out of the rules directory and I just went back into the desktop, and then I ran it once I was in the desktop, and it didn't even take a minute. And so that's the flag. And so what we can do is double click on it, I guess, and it'll open it up in a text editor. There we go. This is our flag, ladies and gentlemen. So that indeed worked, and that should be good. And there it is. So did we get a log file? We didn't get a log file. That's what I'm interested in. But I think what we can do is, just based on what we've already done, we can see kind of what we can get as the answer. So SSH was the one that was under attack, which is the service. And what is the used protocol port in the attack? So the TCP/22 was the used protocol and the port that was in the attack. So that's it. We successfully stopped our first official attack using Snort IPS, which is exciting, honestly. I think it's very, very cool that we were able to do it. So now I'm going to remove the Snort log file just in case I need to for the next one. Oh, and I should have done sudo, but whatever, we removed it anyway. And I'll leave the flag just in case, I guess. And I'll remove the flag as well. How about that? Let's remove the flag file, which is also write protected. There you go. Okay, cool. And now we can clear the screen and get ready for the next scenario. So scenario number 2. Okay, scenario number 2 requires its own virtual machine. So let's cancel this one out and start this one up. I didn't even need to delete those files because we were just gonna close it out and start another one. So here we go. Let's read through this and see what's going on here now. So, good job. Glad to have you on the team. Congratulations, sir. It is inspiring watching you work. Thank you. Thank you very much. So thanks, team. Java, can you do a quick scan for me? We haven't investigated the outbound traffic yet. And so Java starts investigating. Why do we want to investigate outbound? We have stopped some inbound access attempts, so we didn't let the bad guys get in. How about the bad guys who are already inside? Also, no need to mention the insider risk, huh? The dwell time is still around 1 to 3 months, and I am quite new here, so it's worth checking the outgoing traffic as well. Persistent outbound traffic is detected, possibly a reverse shell. And there we go, that's pretty much it. So you need to observe the traffic with Snort and identify the anomaly first, then you can create a rule to stop the reverse shell. So we're going to start it in sniffer mode to figure out the attack source, service, and port. Then we're going to write a rule to stop the brute force attack. Once you stop the attack, you'll have the flag on the desktop, and pretty much everything else is the same, and it will show up on our desktop. So I'm just going to wait for the machine to load because I think it's still loading. Yeah, it still has a little bit of time to load. So once the machine loads, we're pretty much going to repeat the process, but this time we're looking for outbound traffic so that we can stop it from either exfiltrating data, or it might be a remote shell, whatever it is, so that we can stop that access as well. And we'll be done with scenario 2. Okay, cool. The machine is now up. We're going to open up the terminal. We're going to run Snort in sniff mode real quick. And we're going to do it in verbose, and we're going to log in our current directory. Actually, no, you know what? I want to change to the desktop because I am not in the desktop. So I'm going to go to the desktop first, and then from here we're going to run Snort in verbose mode, and we're going to log it in the current directory. And let's capture some packets, and let's see what we can find inside these packets. So we'll let it run for maybe 10 seconds. Okay, so and all you have to do to stop it is do Control C. So here we have our packets. We got several thousand. We got a couple thousand packets that came in. And so now what we want to do is we want to read through Snort, or read through the log file, excuse me. And I'll do it in hexadecimal just to see what I got over here. And let's kind of expand on this a little bit and see if we can find anything interesting. Okay, so right away, there's this thing. 4444, based on several exercises that I've ran before, is typically a port that I always used in exercises for Metasploit. And it just seems like a weird port number. Like it's just one of those ports that's like, okay, well, what are they using this for? What is actually happening on that port? So that's kind of a immediate, oh, here it is again. There it is again, and there it is again, and there it is again. So this seems like it might be the port that we want to kind of keep an eye out for. So let's see if we can actually find anything. There it is again. Okay, so this time I'm gonna run it again, but this time I'm going to grep for, oh crap, I did it again. I pressed enter accidentally. You wanna do that little pipe, and we're going to, let me see if I can kind of put that on the center of the screen. So this pipe right here, this like vertical pipe, you wanna put that, and then we're gonna do grep, and we're going to grep for 4444 as the port, and you just do a colon to kind of get it started. And there it is. Look at that. There's all the mentions of 4444, which seems to be a lot actually. So okay, so port 4444 is the port that we need to stop. So what we are going to do now is we're going to go back into our local rules, and we're going to open that up, and we're going to stop that from running. And hopefully that'll drop the flag on our desktop. Okay, so it's sudo gedit etc snort rules local.rules. That's the file. I'm going to open that up. And there it is. This is our local rules file. So we are going to add a new rule here that is drop any TCP from any IP that is on 4444. And that's going to go to any IP and any port. And the message is going to be remote shell detected. And we're going to separate that with semicolon. It's going to have a SID of 100001 and a rev of 1. And that should be the rule, and that should work. So we're going to save the rule, and we're going to close this thing, and we need to run it in IPS mode again, which is this command sudo snort. -C is to just declare which file you want to use for your configuration file. So technically I could have just used the local rules files as well, which I'll try to do in this one and see how quickly that works. And then the lowercase q, uppercase q, DAQ, AF packet, all of these things is to declare that we're going to be using it is in IPS mode. And then you want to choose your interfaces that you want to run it on, and then your alert type. So I'm going to run this exactly as this, with the exception of just using a different rule file, just to see if that'll work for us. And we'll see how that goes. So let's run, and we're just gonna paste this over here. And instead of doing a console, we're gonna do a full. And I do want actually console just to see it, because last time I didn't even see the result because I didn't create a log file. So whatever, we're just going to do that. And we're going to run back and go to the rules, local rules local.rules. And we'll run it as such and see if that actually works. Look at all those remote shells that has been detected. So it seems like it's working. It's been dropping all of these. Okay, there is the flag. And so I'm going to give you guys a couple of pointers here. So as you can see, I ran the command. First and foremost, we ran the command with console, right? And we ran it with the local rules file instead of the configuration file. And I let that run for a while. And even though it was showing the rule and that it was detecting it, so on and so forth, it didn't give me the flag, right? And so I was like, okay, fine. I'm going to run it with the config file instead of the local rules file. But then when I did a full and I tried to log it onto my desktop, which actually gave me the log files and the alert file, I still ran it for a while and I still didn't get the flag. And so the way that this room has been set up, I believe, is that it needs to be exactly as these things right here are declaring. And it says, write the correct rule and run it snort in IPS a full mode. So no other options after that. Use a full and the default log path to stop the attack. And the default log path, I'm guessing it's the current log path that we're in, as well as it could either be the current path that we're in or the default path for config. So instead of the rules, and then just block it. And they both times it says block it for at least a minute, but it literally showed up within 10 seconds. Because when I was running it in the other formats, I ran it for longer than a minute and there was no flag that showed up. So specifically, I believe this is how they want you to run the command, is sudo snort the actual config file instead of the local rules. Then, of course, the required commands to run it in IPS mode, your interfaces, and then -a full. Don't include the log because it's not going to work. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So now that we have that, we can actually create that. There we go. And we got our flag right here. And we're going to copy this mofo and we're going to paste it. And that's going to be all good. So what is the use protocol and port? So it was TCP 4444. And which tool is highly associated with the specific port number? I'm going to do a Google for this, but I really do think it's Metasploit. Oh, whoops, I did. Which tool is usually on port 4444? Look at that, literally is used by a number of tools. Netcat specifically because it's on, I've done Netcat port 4444, but it's been Metasploit. Speed guide right here, the very first link. And also, by the way, these responses you probably saw in the last video that we made. This is generated by the Google generative AI, which the last time we were looking for a CVSS score for one of the things and it gave us the wrong score. And I had to actually go to the database of the CVSS to find the right score for it. And it was very different than what the AI gave me. So this actual link is what's most likely, and it is Metasploit is what they're saying. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna choose Metasploit, and that is indeed the case. And we are officially done with the IPS room. This was super fun for me. I really enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this too, because this was actually really fun. You know, detecting live traffic is most likely going to be something that you're going to do as a job of a security analyst. So this was really, really fun. Intrusion protection is one of the big things that you got to do. And so this was a free room that's available in TryHackMe. Definitely make sure you actually go and try it out. Even if you don't get the VIP subscription or the paid subscription, this is a free room. So you can try this room for free and actually go do it yourself. But I highly recommend you get the VIP subscription or the paid subscription as well, because why not? You know, it's $12 if you don't use the link in the description. If you do use the link in the description, it ends up becoming $7 because you get a $5 credit towards it. And it's super affordable in either case. I know people who spend more money on Starbucks, no bull. I mean, I'm one of them. You spend more money on Starbucks than you would on your education, and it's like, why not do that? Why not spend the $7? If you go outside and walk around and just keep your eye on the ground, you'll probably see enough quarters in a day to pay $7. Whatever, I'm just BSing. I'm kind of overselling you on this right now, but just use the link in the description, get yourself a free membership, or get yourself the paid membership for $7 and get to hacking and have a lot of fun and enjoy yourself. So this is your boy Hank Hackerson with Hank Hacks Hackers, and this was our Snort challenge in the live attack room, and I hope you enjoyed it. We're definitely going to put out way more videos on the pathway that we're on, which is going to be the pathway for the SOC analyst, and we just finished everything on Snort. So make sure you like, subscribe, share, follow, turn on the notification bell, all that good stuff, so you get notified the next time a video comes out. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you had a good time. I hope you learned. And if no one else loves you, Hank loves you. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Talk to you soon.